Ah, Duskwood. World of Warcraft's version of Slough, a dark and depressing forest teeming with the undead and the not dead. On the plus side, I'd imagine house prices are very reasonable, swings and roundabouts. As this is a democracy, I offered the choice of the next zone, and the winner was Duskwood. I was honestly expecting people to go for Red Ridge Mountains, as that's the next logical zone after Westfall, but let's face it, Duskwood has some of the best vibes in the world of Warcraft. I am forced by fate to go in the next logical order for zones, as I didn't realise you can get locked out of certain pet tamers if you haven't done the previous zone. In light of this, I'll be offering a vote on a name for a pet in the next zone instead. The comment with the most liked nickname will make it into the next video as a pet name. Please make it something pronounceable. If this is your first time here, welcome. We'll be catching every available pet in this zone, Nuzlocked style. Basically it's Pokemon with extra steps. Let's very briefly go over the rules. Every available pet in the zone must be caught. Caught pets must be rare, no other rarities can be caught. All pets must be named with the first name that enters my P-brain. Beat all pet tamers in the zone. Defeated pets must be released. Luckily, haven't had to do this yet. Let's see how Duskwood treats us. Before we get into it, I just want to announce that I'm starting a brand new WoW series to run in parallel with this one. As masochism is a hobby of mine, I'll be reading all of the quest text in the game, starting with classic Elwyn. Lastly, there's a special collab coming up with one of the YouTubers of all time. If you're demanding to know who it is, first of all, how dare you? Secondly, you can check the beginning of my first video for a clue. Westfall and Elwyn Forest, those are for wimps. Duskwood will put hairs on your chest. The difficulty level has increased substantially. In this Lich's paradise there are a total of 12 pets, 4 of which are already crated in a questionable state, 2 of which are archaeology pets and belong in a museum. The remaining ones we can catch unhindered. I'll be honest, I've never done archaeology. I don't even know how you start it, but we'll get into that later. And without further ado, let's trap animals in little cages. Arachnophobes beware. This episode will feature arachnids. Speaking of which, our first pet battle of the zone, the Dusk Spiderling. Up first is the rare, so need to be careful not to accidentally step on it. Decided to go for the claw attack, which did way too much damage and took it down to 30 hit points. First crate missed, but luckily the second crate landed like an empty cup. The second pet came in, a grey chicken, and I was able to dispatch it even with my attacks doing reduced damage. Even got a crit, which was weak but also strong, make it make sense. The only name that came to mind was Toxin. I've been playing a lot of Marvel Snap and I think Toxin is a character from Spider-Man. Felt apt. Next up, a couple of Asmongold's roommates. Went for a cheeky little stampede for 3 rounds of damage increase. It has one attack that's super effective, but luckily it hits like a wet noodle, so I went for a flurry to finish the first pet off. In comes the rare pet. It hit things off with a stampede on me, so I went full Lion King Wildebeest stampede on its ass. One more hit would have finished it off, so the crate came flying in and landed first time. Named the pet Papa, and while editing I completely forgot why, until I looked at the pet journal. Papa Roach. God, that's such an early 2000s joke. Fun fact, Last Resort was the first single I ever bought at the tender age of 8. My mum wasn't sure whether to let me buy it, so to all the parents out there, you should just let your kid buy the CD that has the lyrics, "Cut my life into pieces, this is my last resort. Suffocation, no breathing, don't give a fuck if I cut my arm bleeding. This is my last resort." 8 years old, by the way. Honestly, it was a banger. Emo before emo was a thing. I was emo at the tender age of 8, pioneering the scene. Next up is this furry bag of stink. James went first. I used this attack Demolish without realising it only had 50% accuracy. Then the skunk hit him with a stink bomb, which lowered the accuracy down to 25%. I had to go with Metal Fist, which has 75% accuracy after the stink bomb. Definitely let James get too low on health and nearly lost him, but swapped out to Chirpy just in time. Crate time, and it landed. The name that came to mind was Peppy, which in hindsight is spelled horribly wrong. And I just checked the Wikipedia page, it says Pepe Le Pew was associated with stalking, implied sexual assault, and reinforcing French stereotypes. The 40s were a wild time, for a number of reasons. Hey arachnophobes, time for another spider, the Widow Spiderling. The rare pet came out first. I hit it with a dig, which took down half its health bar, then switched to Willard for a weaker attack. None of the attacks were ideal, so I swapped to Tabitha. The attack did a small amount of damage. I couldn't risk using the other attacks, so Tabitha just had to sit there while being wailed on. Another first time crate. Pretty lucky in this zone. In comes the second pet, a lowly common chicken. Swapped to solid snake, but none of the attacks were strong. Went for a reduced dig, which hit like a punch in a dream. Decided to just keep chomping it with bites. Got a lucky crit, and that was the end of that chicken. Keeping with the Marvel trend, the pet is named Romanov. 4 pets to go, or so I thought. More on that later. A rat snake. There are so many rats in this zone that even the snakes are rats. First out, it was this black rat. All of Romanov's attacks are super effective, so I decided to go for the web and leech tactic, while it hit me with a stampede. Once that was out of the way, it was time for the rat snake. Went for the web and leech again. It lowered my speed, plus it has that powerful dig I need to look out for. Leech again to bring it into catching range. Then another first time crate. I'm on fire. The name that sprang to mind was Death Rattle. Badass. 2 of the 3 remaining pets are from the archaeology profession. I might be the first person in the world of Warcraft to willingly do archaeology. I went back to Stormwind to seek out one Harrison Jones, presumably from Indiana. He sold archaeology training for every expansion. Why doesn't Blizz just add a train all button instead of making us click each one individually? Anyway, now that I learned archaeology in the same way that Neo from the Matrix learned Kung Fu, it was back to sunny Duskwood. The last pet of the video, whoops, spoilers. The next pet was the big cheese, Ratatouille himself, a black rat. First I needed to get the chicken out of the way. Take a hike across the road, buddy. All of Death Rattle's attacks are weak, but I persevered without regards. The dig didn't do as much damage as I'd hoped, so I just went in on the bites. After a few, the chicken was fried. Now onto the rat. The opposite problem occurred. Now all of my attacks are too strong. I switched into Willard for some rat on rat action, and another first time catch. What else could I have named him but Remy? There's a pet tamer in the zone, but unfortunately he's not able to be battled. I found out that I needed to do the Red Ridge Mountains trainer first, so no tamer battle this video. I'll make it up to you in the next video by battling the Duskwood and Red Ridge tamer. Pinky promise. With archaeology, a red circle is meant to appear on the map, but it isn't showing. It looks like I need to complete the archaeology zones in other areas, but I haven't unlocked those yet. If you remember, I've only got access to Westfall, Duskwood and Elwyn. We'll save it for later. Lastly, it was time to head to the FOMO factory. Don't want to miss out on that. No pets this month, hopefully not a sign of things to come, but it did have this fit which was absolutely dripping with drip. Of course I had to make it the outfit for the rest of the challenge. And that's that. Thanks for sticking around. Here's a hint towards the next zone. It has ridges that are red, and apparently mountains. Catch you in the next one.